Okay. Now this is Dr. RJB. Now there's a popular exercise program. It's called the 10,000 step program. And um, if you measure 10,000 steps, I think it adds up to like maybe about 3 miles or something like that. And that's why it was decided to be 10,000 steps. Um, uh, I've had patients who have used the 10,000 step program. And so they'll keep a pedometer on their body and they'll go through their day. And basically, they'll try to achieve their 10,000 steps. Um, uh, and the problem with that is that if you have a job that does any amount of walking, you're going to get that easily. Well, 10,000 step program was something that was supposed to be to help you lose weight. So if all you're doing is just measuring the steps you take each day, it really doesn't tell you much about your activity level that you're going to use to help with weight loss or get into shape. Because it depends on what you're doing, whether you would consider that exercise or not. So let's just say you're in a busy office and you have to go doing things like faxing things, copying stuff, moving stuff around, getting up and down from the computer. You could put in a lot of steps, but really not a lot of serious movement. Um, and that's the problem with this 10,000 step program is that you could basically not really do much of anything and get your 10,000 steps in. Um, now, uh, if you go for a walk, let's just say you go for a walk and you walk, let's say 2 to 4 miles, you know exactly how far you've gone. You don't have to measure the steps. And you know how much time you've put in because you can easily measure it with your watch. So this is a little bit more serious form of exercise. In addition, when you go for a walk, you're doing activity that's separate from your day, in addition to your day. And that's basically what exercise really should be all about. There's really no point in measuring the steps that you take during the day because that's your normal activity level. When you want to exercise is supposed to be additional activity that you don't normally do throughout the day. So let's just say that, in my job as doctor, I would go from my desk to the room where the patient is, go back to the desk, back and forth all day long, go from one room to the next room. That's activity, okay? That's really not exercise, because I might be going from this room to this room and it might be maybe 10 steps that I take, but it's not continuous. That's the problem. So 10 steps and then stop. There's no increase in the heart rate for that. So there's really no effort in that. You're basically just using a little bit of strength to do that, but it's not going to really push your heart at all. Not much exercise, basically. Now, there have been a number of people in my practice who lost weight by doing significant walking. And I know you may have heard the story of Jared, the guy who sold the Subway sandwiches, and he walked basically about 4 miles a day. He was pretty massively overweight. He walked about 4 miles a day. Um, uh, the, the story goes that he walked to the Subway place and back. The Subway place was a mile away, but the joke was that Jared actually lived in an apartment over a Subway sandwich place. So if he really wanted a Subway sandwich, all he had to do was go down the stairs. But because he wanted some exercise, he walked a mile to the Subway, walked back for breakfast, walked a mile for dinner, and walked back. And so he had 2 sandwiches a day, and he walked 4 miles a day, back and forth. 1 mile out, 1 mile back, 1 mile out, 1 mile back, four altogether. So he lost a lot of weight doing this. And actually, I had a couple of my patients who did the same thing. After their dinner, they would go out for a walk for 4 miles. They said that it took them about an hour. And by doing it, they lost about 20 to 30 pounds, both of them. So it was really pretty good. Not only were they getting some exercise, but they were getting exercise at a time when we normally don't exercise at all. Normally, people will eat their dinner and then go watch TV. Instead, these people ate their dinner and then they went out for their walk. So they were getting some additional exercise, especially at a time when most people are pretty sedentary. And that's why they probably lost the weight. Now, just to kind of show about this 10,000 step program, they did a study with college students, and the college students have been found to put on weight because they're sitting. Um, they go to classes and they sit for long periods of time. So even if they're active in high school, for college, because they spend most of the time in the classroom and don't have a lot of activity, they have a tendency to put on a few pounds. So what they did is they gave one group of the college students instructions to do the 10,000 step program. The other college students were told that they were supposed to do no exercise at all. And then they followed these group of college students. What they found was that they both put on the same amount of weight. Um, the 10,000 step program did not change their weight at all. So again, this is another thing against the 10,000 step program, is that in research, it really doesn't seem to help too much as far as managing the weight or getting any real exercise. Um, if you hear about this program and you want to do it, that's great. But as far as the benefits, I'm not really sure how much it does. I think it's much better to go for a long walk at some point of the day and get some real exercise. Okay. All right. Take care.